Welcome to Thursday, the 20th day of November, 2025, your Day with a Podcast, brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at wyomingadvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, we've got this pesky low to deal with here over the next 48 hours. Then what we'll do is we'll give a overall general overview on travel weather conditions as we go into next week. And we're going to keep you updated. I know a lot of you are going to be traveling and wondering what travel weather is going to be like. And now that weather patterns are changing, we're certainly going to have challenges, not only for traveling, but trying to figure out the weather forecast as we have a very complex situation developing. We do have this upper level low coming out of the desert southwest, where it produced a lot of rain in Arizona and parts of the deserts. There's been a lot more rain in the deserts of the United States and desert mountain snow than a lot of the northern and central Rockies here over the last month and a half or so. And that trend will continue here for a little bit longer. After the system moves out, we really don't expect much to happen this weekend. We're just kind of waiting for the weather pattern to readjust. So the good news is we'll have a few travel concerns over the next 48 hours, not big ones. Then we're going to have a good weekend if you're traveling. We really don't have a lot. Once we get into next week, though, it's a very complex weather pattern, a lot of moving parts, and there's going to be a lot of variability in weather forecasts across all of the nation, but especially the central and west as we get into Thanksgiving week. And we'll take a peek at travel weather conditions. Beautiful shots coming in from around the region. Yes, there's an unusual shot, the very large array there in New Mexico, but you can see those clouds holding some moisture there in the southwestern United States. And now you would just think, well, that's just some clouds. Why is someone taking a picture of some very vanilla looking clouds? Well, that's because those are coming across the Mojave deserts. I just mentioned about how wet it's been in the deserts of the southwestern United States here this fall. And that shows you again there. Good shot of a little bit of optical colors there up around Parkman, Wyoming. And then speaking of Arizona, some heavy rain coming down at Apache Junction. Brian reports 3 inches of rain at his location. Nice rainbow there. And Mesa, Arizona. Yeah, that's what precipitation looks like. You got to go to the deserts to see it here lately. And a beautiful shot of a sunrise in Buffalo, Wyoming yesterday. The satellite photos do show that plume of moisture. There is impressive moisture with this system. We'll show you that here in a minute. We've got this upper level low right here with the next low coming in behind it, kicking it out. But as we told you earlier this week, if these two could have a merger or really come together, it'd be quite a powerful system with all the moisture. And there is some colder air up here, as you can see from the blue clouds. But it's a system that's just not going to get its act together. But since it's so moist, you can see that here on the water vapor. You can see the curl of the clouds right there. There's a good slug of moisture with it. So as it comes up out of the Four Corners region and kicks to the northeast, we're going to see this system move up and then bring in this deeper moisture. The precipitable water, really impressive. So this will produce some thick clouds, and as the low kicks up north and east, it'll drag that moisture along with it. And you're going to get some upslope, and some upslope will develop tonight and Friday morning over northern areas of Colorado, extreme southeastern Wyoming, Kansas and Nebraska and parts of the plains, while the other low comes down and brings more rain into central and southern areas of California. And we do have a huge discrepancy in the modeling. And this is a problem that we're really seeing with this system due to its deep moisture. Some models are quite robust. The AI version of the European model does bring a little bit of moisture to the I-80 corridor of Nebraska and Wyoming, heavier moisture into Colorado, but more on the plains than along the Front Range. And you can see the rain and the snow here in southwest Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, with the next system coming into southern California, bringing more rain. But some of the other modeling, what we call the high-resolution models, the high-resolution models are supposed to be more accurate. It's kind of gone bonkers with a much heavier rain and snow event along the I-80, I-76, I-80 corridors, I-70 corridor, the Front Range of Colorado maybe. While we don't have that, there's a really big difference between those two. So what this leads to is uncertainty. I think the thing we're most uncertain about is the extent of how far the precipitation shield. Will it get up to the Wyoming border or not? And will the front range get into the heavier, deeper upslope conditions? Well, this is way overdone. This is probably underdone. So a lot of times taking the middle ground is where to go. Needless to say, for tonight through Friday evening for eastern Colorado, including the front range, and up and down the I-25 corridor into southeastern Wyoming along I-80, there's going to be some rain, there's going to be some snow, there's going to be some fog. Now, the system weakens rather rapidly, and by Saturday, it's moved away up into the Great Lakes, and this guy gets left behind. Don't forget this guy, because it's going to end up producing weather by Sunday night and Monday. We'll show you in a minute. This has been the trend, these splitting troughs coming down, getting the southwestern United States and California wet, and leaving the middle to really nothing. That's just kind of how it's gone. And we're going to see sort of a repeat pattern. But you can see for the weekend, we have that zonal flow. This low right here, though, will start to lift north and east. So we can't forget about it for travelers on the tail end of the weekend. We'll show you that here in a second. As it lifts northeastward, Sunday night into Monday, see the trend? This is the third time this has happened in the last 10 days. So we'll see this system kick up to the north and east. And as it does so, it is going to bring along some moisture. So for those of you traveling, this is for Saturday morning through Monday morning. As the low exits the southwestern United States, it'll bring rain and snow back across Arizona, southwest Colorado, New Mexico, and we could see some moisture out on the plains again with this system as it tracks. Again, we'll have to see if it changes its track. But if you're traveling in this area, Sunday into Monday, you're going to encounter some rain and some mountain snow, maybe getting as far north as I-70. So keep that in mind if traveling late Sunday and Monday in those areas where you see the green and the blue, because you will encounter some precipitation. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, we await that cold front that's going to come in next week. So you can see there's going to be some higher elevation snow over the mountain passes of central, southern, and southwest Colorado and out into northern New Mexico Sunday night and Monday. So don't forget that next low getting kicked out. So that gets us through the weekend. As we get into early next week, we have this fast-moving cold front coming out of the Pacific Northwest, and as we showed you yesterday, it is going to drag in some colder Canadian air. So we're going to see overnight Monday and the Tuesday, not brutally cold, but certainly colder air spilling over the Continental Divide and pushing in. That's front number one, and there is going to be in the northern plains, northern Rockies, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba here, North Dakota, parts of Montana, and parts of Wyoming as we get into Tuesday night, and early Wednesday. This isn't a lot of snow by any means. However, with the air getting a lot colder, snow will make conditions a little bit wet to slick. So if traveling Monday night, Tuesday, and early Wednesday, this is the area up here, up in the northern areas, that you need to pay attention to as that first salvo of cold air comes in. And you can see the cold air deepens by Thanksgiving Day, Thursday. And you can see the colder air, the deeper colder air, is up across the northern plains and really hung up along the divide. Now, this is where I talked about things getting very complex. At 500 millibars or 18,000 feet on Wednesday, this is what it looks like at 18,000 feet with the winds. Now, you might say, well, there's really not much happening here. And let me get my drawing tool back up and going so we can show you what's going to be what we're looking at. So we have strong winds aloft coming on in. We also have the colder air at this time that's going to be banked up along and east of the divide. This is where something on a weather map doesn't look like much, but could maybe turn into something. So as we get into Wednesday evening and Wednesday night, these are the 300 millibar or 30,000 foot winds coming off the Pacific. Now, the configuration of these winds are coming in from the northwest to southeast. At the same time, colder Canadian air is banked up along and east of the divide, and the fetch of winds coming off the Pacific is coming out over the water. So there is a slug of Pacific moisture getting drawn along this jet stream wind. At the same time, we have cold air banked up along here. This is where it gets complicated. We've got a lot of moving parts. So if the cold air is overrun by this deeper moisture and the strong jet stream winds, which causes vertical motions in the atmosphere that want to make the atmosphere go up, well, the end result could be, as we get into Wednesday night, late Wednesday, into Thanksgiving Day, there's the potential that along that strong jet stream wind where that moisture is and along where that colder air boundary is, you're going to have the potential for snow, certainly over the mountains and the mountain passes, and colder air coming on in. So I will be honest, I am not 100% sure this will even develop, but it's on the table. And we'll just examine this again tomorrow, and certainly we'll examine this again on Monday. But this is potentially a travel concern Wednesday night into Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, because it will translate to snow looking like this, and it does affect the interstates in Wyoming, the I-70 corridor of Colorado, and across the region with these streaks of snow coming on in. So we'll just have to watch it. Again, all the parts have to move and come together for that to happen. So that's the next travel period of concern. After that, we see this next trough coming in, keep bringing Pacific moisture and Canadian air this is around noon Saturday. And by Sunday, whether or not it consolidates into this strong of a low or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But we've got another problem for travel developing this weekend. This would be especially true late Saturday, Sunday into Monday, as things are beginning to change. So more for this on travel conditions. We'll have that for you tomorrow, and we'll keep you up to date. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll see you Friday.